Welcome, everyone, to the Power Years, our weekly conversation about thriving in mind and body and soul. So, I'm Helen Renwick, and I'm here with my wonderful co host, Katarina Hansen-Carlson. Together, we are going to explore what it really means to thrive beyond midlife. Today's topic, it was Katarina who came up with this. When success, because that's something we have common, when success feels empty, what do we do then? Because sometimes, even when life looks perfect, you will hear Katarina's story in a while, on the outside, and we still feel lonely, lost, and empty inside. And maybe we don't even know what is that feeling, because I didn't know. Katarina and I have both been there in our 40s, and today we will share what helped us to transform that emptiness into a new beginning. So, Katarina, what would you like to say before we start our questions that we have?
Before we start our questions, I'd like to say that life is worth living at its very, very best. So I would say to our audience, ask for more because there is more. And I don't mean more materially necessarily, but I mean if you're lonely, if you're lost, there are solutions. You can cure any disease, any disorder, and don't settle for less than a life of thriving.
Yeah.
I would say that.
And ease and joy, I would add.
Ease and joy, and gratitude, all of that goes together, right? But
So, let's start with our stories. So, Katarina called me and she said, do you remember you and I have gone through when we were in our 40s? Soul crisis. And I'm like, soul crisis. That's interesting. Because we weren't lacking anything. Nothing. We had plenty. We had plenty and plenty of the material things and love. We had families, husbands, all these things, but there was something. And I didn't think about, what Katarina said today. And it's taking us years to, move through that. And that's what we wanted to share our stories. So if someone is there or maybe have not even got there yet, you could just see what can you learn from these stories, because I do believe we can learn from other people's stories and choose something different. So what did that emptiness look in your own lives, and what was the turning point that pushed you to change? So I'm going to let Katarina start with that question.
all right. Yeah, thank you, Helian. First of all, I want to say that the reason I came up with this is that Helen and I were out walking, and women like to walk and talk. Men do too, but especially women. And I think, to sum up our whole conversation, it was about transition. So that's what inspired me, first of all. Okay, so what did it take? And if I go back to a time, I was married to my soulmate. Not many people find their soulmate, but he was my soulmate. I fell in love with him the moment I saw him. We fell in love at the very same moment. I was an executive English teacher in Cambridge, and I just cycled into this parking area. He was standing on the left. He was wearing a pink tie, and he looked so sad. And I felt so happy. And I thought, I want to be with this man. I want to give some of my happiness to this man. At the same time, he was thinking, wow, what an amazing woman. I want to grab her hair and drag her into my cave. That should have been a red flag. No, no, he was a wonderful, wonderful man, father of my children. So here I was in Sollentuna, which is a very lovely area in Stockholm, in a big house with a swimming pool, with a nanny, two beautiful children. I couldn't have asked God to give me greater, more beautiful, more loving, sweeter children, two wonderful little boys. And we moved to England, and even a bigger house and a swimming pool, and this time a gardener and someone to clean for us, a cleaning lady, and a nanny, and my own car. Well, wouldn't you think that's a dream life? It's a perfect life? No, I was lonely. I was lonely. I felt empty, lonely, angry because, and I didn't even know where the anger came from, and lost. That's what I felt. And eventually I projected my anger onto my husband. That wasn't the only reason, but eventually he asked for a divorce. He didn't actually ask for a divorce. He said he was very unhappy. And I said, "Oh," I said, "do you want a divorce? Is it that bad?" And he said, "Yes." We were divorced within, what, 6 months.
Hmm.
So that was the trigger to throw me out of this comfortable life that was making me lonely and lost into the unknown. How about you, Helen? What?
How about me? So my story is I was living in the Middle East. I had a thriving career in corporate, had been there, climbed up the ladder. I mean, I was the country manager for this Fortune 500 company in Dubai, and I loved my job. I loved my job. But all of a sudden I had 4 children, and I had, like you too, I had drivers, I had nannies at home, I had great husband who was, lovely. Everything was great. But a year earlier I had lost my mother, and something was starting, probably boiling inside me, but I didn't really know what it was. And then I had my youngest son, and the higher you go in a corporate job, the more you have to be there. I mean, I practically lived in my office, in my job. I loved it though. And I had all the extras to help, with a nanny and all these things. So I could see my kids and spend quality time with them. But I spent most of my time at my work. And leaving my child, because here in Sweden, where we are living now, we have about 12 to 15 months off, when you get a child. But abroad in America, you get 2 weeks. I took 3 months off, but as a woman, your body has changed. You're not even ready to go in to a job where you're going to think about other thing than your child and yourself. I mean, it takes your body, if you have been pregnant for 9 months, it takes it at least 3 months, if not 6 months, if not 9 months to get, into to yourself, your hormones and this and whatever. So a lot of this were inside of me, of course, and I didn't take time. I was exercising, but I didn't listen to, you know, "What is this, Helen?" I used to cry. I used to cry. I see him sleeping when I'm leaving in the morning, and when I come back home, he's also sleeping, and this went on for 1 year. And, my husband, he said, "So why don't you quit?" I'm like, "Why don't I quit?" But, it obviously went into my subconscious mind. So one day, out of the blue, not that's what I did, because I was lost, but I had no idea what is this. But I knew I used to have to do something else. What I was going to do, I did not know. I felt so lost. I felt so lost. I didn't know. Did I know my core values? No. So that's when the search was starting. So we will go into the path of transformation. So what were the first steps? or the tools or the shift that helped us move, from the feeling of lost to feeling alive again. So, what did you find? Or what did help you?
Well, I have to say that even the years before my marriage, I was searching. So let's say about 10 years before my marriage. And I thought my marriage and my family would be it. That's what I was told by my mother, by society, etc. But it took me another 10 years, so 20 years altogether, to find my core values. And in one day, I found my core values: truth, greatness, and vision. Now, what does truth mean? It means integrity for me. It means that there's more truth to life, to the whole universe, than is obvious. Talking to your parents, going to school, what your teacher told you, there's a greater and much more profound truth to life. And one of the greatest truths that we need to find out is, who are we? Because if we don't know who we are, how are we going to find our purpose? So that's what you have to start with. Who am I really at my greatest, at my peak? Who is Katarina? Well, she's not somebody's wife any longer, and she's not this divorced woman. No, that's not my identity. It's far greater. And then second value, greatness. What does that mean? Does that mean that, you show off because you're better than anybody else? No, it's actually very, very humble to be great. Why? Because you're great not only for you, but for the whole world.
Mm.
You find your greatness, you find your driving purpose, and then then it's up to you to give, like Helen gives to Karolinska, uh, but
Barnkantsfallen.
every single week. Yeah, she'll talk about that later. But truth, greatness, and vision. Focus and energy. Be focused, focused, focused on what you truly desire in life. And it's more than a family. It's more, families are wonderful. And I'm not saying, divorce. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying live for yourself. Live for your children, yeah, but live for yourself first. So it was my core values. When I found that, I thought, okay, so 50% of, 40 to 50% of people are actually searching their core values, searching for their driving purpose of the whole world. And at least 20% are discontented with their work or with their life, or discontented. So I realized, if I find my truth, my greatness, my vision, my driving purpose, then I can help everybody else to find theirs, right? And it doesn't have to take them 20 years or 10 years. Take them one day. So that's what I've been doing ever since. Plus, I was at Income Builders International. I worked with a spiritual master for 7 years. But after 7 years, I left, because you don't need to hang around a spiritual master. You learn, you learn, you learn, you learn, you grow, you grow, you grow, and then you leave and you apply everything that you've learned. You don't hang around for the next teaching, because your master, if he's truly your master, your spiritual master will talk to you within, but apply it. Okay. So then I thought, okay, that's all very well to be spiritually, smarter than I was, or spiritually greater than I was before. Now I'm happier. Well, what about money? Money came from my husband before. It came from my own business before. But, when I was focused spiritually, I wasn't focused on money. So I thought, well, it's time. So I went to Income Build International with Bernie Dorman, who is one of the top entrepreneurial uh, teachers, lecturers, uh, top entrepreneurs in the world. Unfortunately, he's passed. But anyway, so I was there with 1,000 people, and they would ask me what my wow. And I said, well, I know my wow, but what's yours? And they would say, I don't know. I said, well, you're talking to the right person because I can find your wow in 4 hours. Now, when I was there, something completely changed my life. Completely changed my life. I was going through some swing doors and I heard this inner voice. Now, I know the difference between my voice and this inner voice. And it doesn't speak to me a lot, but when it does, it impacts me. And this little voice said, it was a question, start a school.
Mm.
And I said, no, 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 no. I don't like schools. I didn't like, well, I quite like my schools, but I felt lost at school. I didn't feel very smart at school. I didn't feel very good looking at school. I didn't feel that school did anything for me. And I protested. And then I thought, no, 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 Katarina, this is serious. This is a serious question. You have to go to your room, you have to look in the mirror, and you have to say yes or no, because this energy was running up and down. You must be familiar with that. That energy running up and down from my brain down to my gut, up, and I couldn't work and I couldn't focus on anything else. Go to your room. Okay, so Katarina, are you going to start a school? And this small voice within me said, yeah. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm starting entrepreneurial schools globally. So that's my story. What's yours?
Amazing. Oh, I get the chills. I'm going to move on to the next one, but I will talk a little bit about it. So thriving every day. So like Katarina, I was searching probably since I was born. I was searching for a lot of things. And I've always been this person who asked why. So when I left my corporate job, they were very, very good to me. The company, they gave me a career coach. And I didn't know, I had no idea what do I want to do, but I didn't want to be in the same what I was doing because I'd been in sales and marketing for and promotion and event. It was so much fun. But I'm an interior designer. What I studied, that's what I love. But again, that's what I chose when I was, 17 years old to study that. And that was fun. And so, because that's also Helen, my three core values that I found not when I left Philip Morris. No, I found that much later. But that has always been part of me, which is honesty, trust, and curiosity. So this curiosity, this is who I am. I always love to find new things. I can't just do one thing now either. So when I left there, I went into health and fitness, into nutrition, because I wasn't doing something else before. So that's where I thought, okay, I should go into that, which I love. I love to look after your body. I love to move, and I think it's so important, what you eat. And, that was very important for me. It doesn't have to be for other, but our bodies love to move. It loves to have nutrition. Nutrition is not always, you know, nutrition is just something that we keep this energy inside. So, we might eat a bit too much sometimes, what we don't need. But again, you have to listen to your body. I started to get in tuned with my body, know what my body actually require. And that's very, very important. That's what I have learned moving forward. We can't have one diet for everyone because, my body require different things and at different times of my life. Anyway, so during that time and I found my core values, what I know today, that was always there. I found them in my 50s when I had gone through becoming a coach myself. I took a coach, and that's where we dug down. It takes some time. What am I going to choose? But it's not just to choose what looks good, but what works for me. And that's why I know today, working in corporate, can you always be honest there? No. You have to be diplomatic, but for Helen can be diplomatic, but it's honesty's always been there, because when I was brought up, my mom said, just tell me anything. It doesn't matter if it's bad or whatever, but just tell me the truth. And that's how
Beautiful.
I I have lived. But so it's very important to choose to work with something that doesn't go against your own core values, because it will never work. You will never feel satisfied or anything. And do we learn at school really what my core value is? No. And it doesn't have to be the same as your family or your spouse or anything, but it has to be kind of, most of the time they sync, for you to be able to, and you said too, you have visionary where I have curiosity. They actually go hand in hand. They are different, but they complement each other. You said about truth and about integrity. Yes, it goes with mine too. And that's how we connected. Maybe we didn't know each other's core values, but we connected through that. So then we go on to this thriving every day. So what does it really take to thrive in mind and body and your soul, not just in the big moments, but in daily life? What do you say, Katarina?
Well, I would say, first of all, meditation. So even if you don't meditate, go out into nature and be with the trees, be with the sea, be with nature, because the city won't take you there. You know, do meditate. So I meditate every night and every morning. So I wake up at 6, and by 7 o'clock, my meditation is complete. So
Can I just interrupt there also, because I totally agree with that. Because when you do that, you take time for yourself,
yeah,
which is not selfish. And when you have time for yourself, when you are actually present at that time, when you pray, or pray or meditate or whatever you are doing, you are present. You're present with yourself and something much larger than the material things and your family and all these things. So you can be more, because that's what happens when you're present and you feel that joy that you have taken for yourself. You are able to give much more to others. So
yeah,
that's
that's so true. And also, during meditation, I get inspired. It's almost like, God's running my business. Well, that's the best person you can have as, chairman of the board. So today I run my own company, Destiny International 11. I have 2 foundations, Global Leadership Schools and Teachers Hero, putting entrepreneurship into schools and creating the most dynamic and innovative schools in the world. Schools that children love to go to. Right. They're not waiting for the summer. Oh my God, oh, another week to go, another few days. Oh, can't bear it, and then out. Or as soon as the bell rings. No, these are children who want to stay in school. Some of them don't even want to go home. You learn 3 languages before the age of 6 when you're a linguistic genius. You learn to be an entrepreneur at the age of 7, and you leave school with a business and have an income for the rest of your life.
I just love it. I mean, I love it. And this is, I was speaking to my son-in-law yesterday, who is in his 30s, and he said, moving into the future, there's going to be less jobs. So, we have to kind of create it ourselves, do a business. So, it's so great if they can learn at that age, because they learn much better at that age than they do when we are in our 20s or 30s.
Yes, children up to the age of 7 are mostly completely unlimited and operating from 98% creative genius.
Listen to that, 98%.
percent according to Dr. George Land. By the time these same children were in their teens, it was down to 12%. So school dumbed down us. By the corporate, they've got super jobs. I was going to say a Swedish word.
What was that word in Swedish? Tell me. Superbra, precis.
A super job, a super salary, but very little time for the people who matter most to them. It's a kind of a hell. It is. Don't pretend to yourself it isn't. And I know a lot of people who live in corporate and try and compensate by buying new shoes, new clothes, new this, new that, new car, whatever, but that does not compensate. I know that. I mean, I used to go to Barbados with my husband, and I felt big deal. If we don't actually communicate, what's the point? Anyway.
And connect and communicate and connect. And really, all we have is this moment here now. We only have that. And that's also, you can do that when you're meditating. Some people are like, oh, no, that's the time. And you can go out. I mean, nature is so good, and use your five senses. That's what I do every day, smell, look, what are you hearing? What do we taste? What can we feel? And that doesn't take a lot of time. Anyone who doesn't like to meditate, but that's what everyone can do. Go out, if you look at a tree, how does it look? Because, it looks different to everyone. Do we hear?
Every single tree is unique.
Yeah.
Every single blade of grass is unique. Yeah. So, I mean, you can tell that Helen and I, we have energy, we thrive every day. And, it wasn't an easy journey, but we took it. So have the courage. And I'm not saying if you're happy in your marriage, leave it. Absolutely not. I'm saying the soul search. If you're in a soul crisis where you're feeling empty, if you're really honest with yourself, then make the changes. Work with me. Work with Helen. We will take you to the other side, and much quicker than we went. I mean, I went through a lot of struggle, but today I thrive. I have more energy than I had in my 30s. I have 4 grandchildren and I play with them. I run as fast as them. I play football with them.
And I can vouch for that, because I met Katarina and we took a walk, and she is a extremely strong and powerful woman.
Mm.
So we're almost coming to the end. I'm always mindful for the time, because we can leave and come, return next. We're not coming back. We are returning. And also communicate with us in the comments. We can start the discussion here and then continue there. So if you have ever felt that gap between the outside success and the inner fulfillment, like what we were talking about, know that you're not alone. And there is a way forward. Even if it takes, that was in my 40s, and, now 19 years later, it's taken. And I learn every day. And the same with Katarina. We learn all the time. There's nothing, not one day. There is something new I can learn. So this is just the beginning of the conversation. And we would love to hear your reflection in the comments. And then you are welcome to return next week. We don't know yet what and that's what I love with Katarina. We haven't planned there yet, but it's going to come. We're going to plan to see.
I've got an idea already, but I'm sure you also have.
Oh, okay. So, but don't say it now.
Oh, no. It's a surprise. Every week it's a surprise. But write the word soul, 2 words, soul purpose in the comment, and either Helen or I will contact you. Soul purpose. If you want to find your soul purpose and you want to find it quickly, contact us.
I leave it at that. And I say soul purpose. Thank you.